Top 5 places to retire in Vietnam. This is Dan of Vagabond Awake, the YouTube channel for Vagabond Buddha. This report ranks what I believe are the top 5 places to retire in Vietnam. We just spent the last year touring around Southeast Asia, including Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, and Malaysia. We spent 3 months in Vietnam, and I'll rank the top 5 places there next. I've already ranked the top 5 places to retire in Malaysia and Thailand. In a few weeks, I'll compare the best of Thailand to Cambodia to Malaysia to Vietnam. Next month, watch for my report on the best places to retire in the world for 2020. My Best of the World report from 2019 is already posted. If you want to know how I was able to travel the world for 13 years, there's a video here you can watch. Okay, let's talk about Vietnam. I'm going to show you videos and photos I took in Vietnam as I ranked the best places to live here. But don't write anything down. Everything I mention is in writing. Just click the link in the notes below this YouTube video for all this information that I already talked about and that I'm about to tell you. Your favorite place in Vietnam might be different from mine. What attracts me to one place may not be interesting to you. So, along with my ranking of favorite places, I've included a link to my detailed report about each. If you know each report's reasoning, you'll be able to adjust my favorites more closely to your own unique style and needs. Also, there are YouTube videos embedded in each report. In those videos, you'll see me walking around each place and talking about what I like about each or not. I intend to give you enough information so you can reorder my favorites based upon your needs, not mine. By bubbling the best ones to the top, you'll be able to eliminate many from your short list. That will save you time and money when you come here to investigate further. For example, I'm more of a city guy that loves culture. I like museums, art galleries, live music, international foods, street art, youth culture, the university atmosphere, and public transportation. I prefer to live in areas where the cultural experiences are walkable from my house. I call someone like me a cultural explorer. Other people prefer action sports like mountain or rock climbing, surfing, riding horses, zip lines, snowboarding, skiing, skydiving. I call someone like that an action adventurer. Other people enjoy growing their own food, living in rural areas with some distance from their nearest neighbor, and studying survivalist techniques. I call this rural self-reliance. We're not all the same. So I'm providing information to help you find your own best place in Vietnam. Okay, retirement tour of Vietnam. Here are the places we visited on our retirement tour of Vietnam. These are the places we rank in order for you below. If we miss anywhere of interest to you, please let us know for future visits. There's a link for that. We have broken the Vietnam Google map into north and south. The Google Map Tours feature only takes 10 locations per map, so we had no other choice. The north map, these maps are on the web page, includes Sapa, Hanoi, Ha Long Bay, Hue, Da Nang, and Hoi An. And the South Vietnam map includes Nha Trang, Da Lat, Mune, Vung Tau, Ho Chi Minh, and Phu Quoc. Both these maps are on the web page. We started in the north and moved slowly to the south. It took 3 months to complete our research, reports, videos of Vietnam. Why do I go so slow, you may ask? I save money by moving slowly on the ground across a country. I get the right visa before I arrive, and I do not leave until I've seen everything I want in a country. Even after seeing everything I want, I do not fly to another part of the world until I've seen everything I want in that region. For example, after seeing everything we wanted in Vietnam, we crossed into Cambodia at the land border. By avoiding airports in our world travels, we reduce our carbon footprint and we save money on travel. I've written a book about how to tour the world for less than it costs to stay home. Again, there's links to everything below this YouTube video. Just click the more information list. Okay, so once you've shortlisted your best places to retire cheap in Vietnam, Southeast Asia, or other parts of the world, make sure to check out our touring reports. They'll teach you the cheapest way to move around the world, to do site visits before you make a final decision of where you want to retire. For example, you can grab our How to Tour Vietnam report to save money when touring around Vietnam. Okay, now that you know where we visited in Vietnam, I will rank the top 5 places according to my top archetype, Cultural Explorer. So there's 3 rankings of the best places. We're not all the same. So I've made 3 separate lists of the best places to retire cheap in Vietnam accordingly. 1, Cultural Explorer, the 2nd, Action Adventure, and the 3rd, Rural Self-Reliance. If you have multiple dominant types, then look for a place that ranks well on both lists that reflect your dominant types. Also, please share any ideas you have with me about how to improve my ranking system. What is important to you that I can add to my future updates? Let me know. As I mentioned, my dominant type is Cultural Explorer, so I'll start my ranking with that. I do enjoy action sports from time to time. However, that's more for isolated experience than a continuing lifestyle choice. I rarely select where to live or travel based upon action sports. I do visit rural destinations sporadically, but it's more for temporary experiences such as jungles, mountains, skiing, skydiving, and wine country. Okay, here are my favorites in Vietnam based upon my type, Cultural Explorer. Top 5 places to retire in Vietnam for cultural explorers. Number 1, Nha Trang, Vietnam. Nha Trang is the most cosmopolitan city in Vietnam if you consider international food choices, clean parks and beaches, neighborhoods that still feel like Vietnam despite international tourism, and less visible pollution in the air. It is a city on the ocean. It doesn't have the breadth of historical culture you'll see in Hanoi or Hue, but it makes up for that with modern cultural amenities that cultural explorers expect and enjoy. You'll read that some people do not like Nha Trang because it has a large tourist industry near the beach. But I wouldn't live in the tourist areas if I moved there. I would live in the beautiful neighborhood that I showcase in my Retire Cheap report. Again, links to everything. What surprised me the most about Nha Trang was how cheap it was to live there once you get to know where the locals shop and eat. Okay, number 2, Hoi An. My second choice as a cultural explorer would probably be Hoi An. Hoi An is recognized as one of the most culturally interesting places in Vietnam. The Cham people controlled the spice trade in this area dating back to the 7th century AD. By the 16th century, Hoi An was influenced culturally by almost constant trade with the Chinese, Portuguese, the Dutch, and the Japanese. It was one of the earliest truly multicultural sites in Vietnam. For that reason, international tourism comes to see this beautiful little ancient, culturally rich city. The restaurants and shopkeepers have learned how to attract the international buying power and tickle the international food palate. The prices have escalated as a result. For that reason, I think I may live either a little outside the walkable Old Town, or I would live just a few kilometers away at the beautiful nearby beach. Read the report for more details. Okay, number 3, Dalat. Because of the high elevation, this beautiful mountain hill station developed during the French colonial period and has grown into a respite from the heat of summer for the Vietnamese. It is only about 3 hours from Nha Trang, so I could see myself summering here if I decided to retire in Nha Trang. There are expats living there that call it home year-round because it has a cooler climate during the winter, but never really gets cold in the winter. Plus, it's surrounded by amazing green rolling hills where you can enjoy tea plantations and grapes used to make the Vietnamese wine. Number 4, Hue. In terms of just ancient UNESCO cultural sites within or only a short distance from the city, Hoi ranks #1 for ancient cultural buildings and history. It was the capital of the Trong dynasty from 1738 to 1775, and the Nguyen dynasty from 1802 to 1945. It's packed with memorial burial sites of former emperors and the partially destroyed during Vietnam War Hoi Palace. So there's a rich history for cultural explorers in Hoi. It would be ranked #1 for cultural explorers if it also had the comforts of more modern culture, such as more international food choices, museums, and a larger diversity of nightlife and live cultural arts that many cultural explorers will want in their home city. Okay, #5, Da Nang. Although Da Nang is a favorite of many Americans, I felt very little connection to Da Nang myself. It's just too new historically to be of much interest to cultural explorers, and the few blocks of land between Da Nang and Central Beach felt blighted. Luckily, on our last few days there, we heard about an expat beach community about 15 minutes south of Central Da Nang that was quite charming. Next time we head back to Vietnam, we'll stay in this neighborhood, link provided, and reevaluate Da Nang from this location. It's worth mentioning that Da Nang is between two of my favorite culturally rich cities in Vietnam, Hoi, which is 2 hours, and Hoi An, which is only 35 minutes from Da Nang. Okay, #6, Hanoi. Once Hanoi gets a better handle on air and environmental pollution, it'll be in contention for the first position for cultural explorers. The walkable life available to citizens of Hanoi, especially around Kem Lake, will be unmatched in Vietnam once you can breathe comfortably there. Okay, that's our top 5 cultural explorers. Here's how I believe someone with the dominant type of active adventurer would order the top places in Vietnam. Top 5 places to retire in Vietnam for active adventurers. Okay, I picked where to tour in Vietnam based upon my interest in cultural exploration. So to find out the relevance of each of the places we visited with respect to adventure sports, I did some research. And there's a table on the webpage you can come read. The categories were mountain biking, wind or kite surfing, whitewater rafting, surfing, hiking, scuba diving, rock climbing, and kayaking. So what I did is I just searched best of Vietnam and then the name of it. For example, mountain biking, instead of putting in the cities I visited. And then any cities that came up, I clicked the little box you'll see on the table. And so rather than just saying mountain biking in each of the cities, I would have got some false positives, I think. Okay, so here's the ranking. Nha Trang had 6 adventure sports. Hanoi, Da Nang, Da Lat, and Phu Quoc all had 4. And so I had to distinguish away of the ones that all had 4 active adventure sports between them, and that's how I did it. So Nha Trang had 6. This is on the ocean and has been developing activities for tourists for several decades, so no surprise there are adventurous things for people to do in Nha Trang. This was also the #1 place for cultural explorers. Okay, Da Nang. It's worth noting that Da Nang is only 34 minutes from Hoi An. And combined Hoi An and Da Nang would have 6 active sports rivaling only Nha Trang. This puts Da Nang Hoi An, if you see them as a group, in 2nd place for active adventurers. And by the way, the table shows which sports. Which brings up an idea. If you're only interested in windsurfing and kite surfing, you would just come look at the table and see which ones have that. If you don't care about all these other sports, it doesn't matter that there's 6. The one you want's there. So come look at the table. Okay, #3, Phu Quoc. I'm picking Phu Quoc for 3rd because it's on an island and there's a good likelihood the scuba might be better here. In fact, there are 20 islands around it and the water looks more blue to me and the sand is more white. And that often means that there's going to be some good-looking coral and whatnot for snorkeling and scuba diving. So that's why I inched it into third. Number 4, 𝐷𝐿𝐷. 𝐷𝐿𝐷 is in the mountains, so the views are amazing and the weather is cooler year-round, so you may be willing to be outdoors all year due to the cooler weather. If you're more of a beach person than a mountain person, this should be moved to the bottom. Okay, 𝐵𝐴. Not many active adventurers will be willing to put up with the air pollution in Hanoi, which had 4, so I had to dip into a lower one, 𝐵𝐴. I picked 𝐵𝐴 for the number 5 position since it's an internationally known kite surfing place that also has conventional surfing, and it's on the beach, so that's why it's in number 5. Okay, top 5 places to retire in Vietnam for rural self-reliance. Okay, I'm ranking these, I'm certainly no expert in this area, but I'm ranking this just based on some observations I'm making that I'll share with you. Okay, number 1 is Sapa. Sapa is in the mountains northwest of Hanoi. It has amazing soil, and there's very few people that live there, a very low density of people, and it has large distances from neighbors once you get outside of the town. Even the town is small. This is a mountain terrain, so it's cooler year-round than most of Vietnam. It receives a lot of rain, so you should be able to grow crops here without any trouble. We have no report for you on this because we just did a day visit here when we were in Hanoi because we wanted to see the beautiful mountains, and it's gorgeous. Okay, number 2, 𝐷𝐿𝐷. Amazing soil, very few people, and large distances from neighbors once you get outside of town. This is a high elevation with rolling hills, so it is cool year-round. There's also a city here with many English speakers if you want to go into town and meet people from time to time. Okay, number 3, Phu Quoc. There are smaller communities on the east side of the island. There are also some rolling hills. You could likely find some distance from your neighbors, but you would need to test for groundwater since this is an island at sea level. Make sure you have groundwater if you're trying to grow things. If you're a fisherman, this could be a way to survive also. Okay, so I'm only ranking the top 3 for rural self-reliance. Final thoughts? There is another thing that might be different about me. I presently live outside my home country, the USA, 11 months of the year. Additionally, I tend to keep traveling the world for 3 to 6 months of the year, even after I pick my international living home base. You may not want to travel so much once you have found your new home. Also, I have not reached retirement age yet. I make money using my computer no matter where I am in the world. Jump on my email list if you are interested in learning more. My emails explain more about my life and how I've created it. Okay, subscribe to Vagabond Buddha or our YouTube channel to receive future posts about the best places to live or retire cheap all over the world. This is Dan of Vagabond Awake, the YouTube channel for Vagabond Buddha. Thank you for stopping by. The world is your home. What time will you be home for dinner? This is Dan of Vagabond Awake, the YouTube channel for Vagabond Buddha, and I write retired cheap reports all over the world. To come to Vagabond Buddha and check it out. If you subscribe to our membership, then I'll be able to afford to buy Chung Hoi a new dress once a year, maybe.
Yes, once a year.